In part 2 of making clicker game, we'll be making the gameplay look smoother, so like the buttons looking nicer and the score looking nicer. So let's get started. Alright, so now I'm going to make the buttons look nicer. So I'm going to start with a clicker. So get a forever. Get a change size by. And then get a minus and a division. Put this minus in the division. And in the minus, we're going to... Over here, we're going to put the size. So this size. And then we're going to minus it by its size. And then divide it by 2. So put this all in here. And right now, it looks like it's doing nothing. But once we click this, once we click the clicker, let's make it so that it decreases its size. So -10. And so now if we try that, and it looks nicer. So we can do the same for this button. So all we have to do is copy this. I'm going to get another when green flag clicked and put a forever over that. Make sure this size is the same as this size. So now I'm going to make it so that every time I click on it, it decreases the size, just like the clicker. So now once we get to 20, it looks nice. Another thing we can do is make the workers look like they're actually working. So we can make them pop up and down every time they increase the score. So it's basically the same concept as this. So I'm just going to drag this in here. And get a... When I start as a clone, get a forever. Put this over here. And make sure this size is the same as here. So 80. And then every time it increases its score, we're going to increase the size. So now if we try that, now it actually looks like they're working. Another thing we can also make look nicer is the score. Right now the score variable looking kind of bad. So to make it look nicer, I'm going to make a new sprite. I'm gonna call the first costume 0. And in the costume editor, I'm gonna put the number 0. I'm going to change this font. Pixel. So now I'm going to do the same thing for the next number, which is 1. And you can change this to 1. And just keep doing the same thing for the other numbers. And after you're done with the 9th costume, just make an extra costume and make sure it has nothing inside. And also call the costume nothing. So now after that, I'm just gonna call the sprite score counter. So when green flag clicked, let's make it switch to costume 1 so we can see it. Let's move that variable here. And let's make it so that it shows the costume. It shows letter 1 of money. It's forever. Make sure there's a forever over the switch costume to letter 1 of money. So now it's always switching the costume to the same number. But once we get over that, as you can see, it's not showing the 0. So instead, let's make it so that it makes 3 clones. And every time it makes a clone, we're going to move it. And also, I'm going to center it every time. So as you can see, there are supposed to be 3 clones, but it looks like there are 4 clones. But this is actually the original one. So let's just hide it when we start. And then show the clones. Yep, now it looks like there are only 3 clones. And right now it looks like they're a bit too close to each other. So inside the change x by, I'm going to add division. And then divide the size. Divide the size by 2. And if it's too big, we can increase it by 2.5. I think I'm gonna increase it by 3. So I think this looks good. So now let's make it so that forever switch costume to letter 1 of money inside the when I start as a clone. So as you can see, it's kind of working, but they're all showing the first number. We just want this number to show that number. So I'm going to make a new variable called index. And make sure it's for this sprite only. It's going to hide it. And make sure to set index to 1. And every time it creates a clone, we're going to change index by 1. So get an if and get an equals to. Put money in here. Oh, sorry. Put index, not money. And if index equals 1, then we're gonna switch costume to letter 1 of money. So just duplicate this 3 times. So if index equals 2 and if index equals 3, do the same here. Letter 1, letter 2 of money, and letter 3 of money. So now as you can see, it's working properly. And once we get to 10, it shows the extra 0. I'm just gonna change this to a slider. I'm going to change the maximum value to 999. And so it's working. Once we get to 1000 and over, it doesn't show the extra 0. So all we have to do to fix that is just duplicate all these ifs again and change this to 4, 5, and 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And do the same here. 4, 5, and 6. And make sure to repeat 6 times. So now it's showing a lot of numbers until 999,999, 6 nines. So we can try that. So as you can see, it's working, but it would be nicer if we center the number. So to do that, get a set x on the bottom here. So first get a minus, and then minus the index by 0.5, then get division and the length of money divided by 2, and then we're gonna minus all of that, and then we're gonna multiply this by the size divided by whatever number you put here to make it look nicer. So I'm going to drag this here. I mean, now it should work. Yep, it's working properly and it's centered. So an extra thing we can do with the buttons, when we hover over them, it increases its size. So all we have to do is get a if then else, put this in here, duplicate this, and increase its size, let's say by 220. So if we're touching the mouse pointer, yep, looks nice. And we can do the same for this button. So get an if else, put in here, and duplicate this, let's say 140. Oops. 140. And if touching a mouse pointer, yep, just like that, and looks nicer. I think I'm just gonna decrease it a little bit. Yep, that looks nicer. You can also add more buttons to buy more workers and other things, but that's basically all there is to a clicker game. So thanks for watching.